Whether you're trying to figure out how something looked during the period that you're modeling, or you're trying to figure out a prototypical track plan or something that is inspired by the real world, research in model railroading is very important. And I'm going to give you two great sources today on Coffee and Trains. Welcome everybody to another edition of Coffee and Trains. Before we begin, I'm still drinking on my Tim Hortons, and now I'm doing it black with 2 sugars. Now, I know a lot of y'all said that I didn't say how I liked it. Yes, I am enjoying my Tim Hortons very, very much. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about the research side of model railroading, because there is a decent amount involved, and sometimes it can be hard to find sources, especially if you're modeling older model railroads, specifically if we're going from transition era and older. Sometimes it's hard to find reference material for doing your scenery and buildings and how the train interacted with the rest of the community and things like that. And we're also sometimes have difficulty figuring out what our track plan should look like if we want to have it operate remotely realistically. So I've got 2 great sources for that. And the first one is these books from Arcadia Publishing, the Images of Rail series. Let's take a look at this one. These books are the Images of Rail series from Arcadia Publishing, and they have many, many books representing many of the past railroads of the U.S. These books are fantastic resources for not only scenery, but looking at motive power and rolling stock that was used during a certain time period. Now, I live in old Southern Railway territory, and I have the second book of their Southern Railway Images collection. These books have a ton of references for your railroad of choice. The first and most obvious is the scenery reference material. You can see what different buildings and right-of-ways look like, as well as the infrastructure around the railroad. A great example is this shot of downtown Atlanta in the 1950s. You can see the Southern Railway offices located right next to the track. There are also several great photos of the area around Spencer, North Carolina, which is near where I live. This was a massive facility for the Southern Railway, and there is some great reference material here. The second great thing this book is good for is motive power and rolling stock reference. You get shots of all sorts of different locomotives as well as freight and passenger cars. One particular cool shot is this steamer pulling some stainless steel Southern Railway passenger cars, and this shot of a Southern Railway F unit pulling mixed era passenger cars. This book contains images of steamers being ran in the 1960s. Now, a lot of these were special excursion trains, but it shows you that you can run steam a lot later than at least I thought you could before, if you're modeling prototypically. You can even look at these photos to see how to weather your locomotives and rolling stock, like here where there's a dirty section near the top of the tender on this steamer. These books are pretty hard to beat when it comes to visual reference material. Okay, so that is a great resource for scenery. Now, when you're getting to the more modern era, obviously you can just go look around at the way that things are actually set up, and there's a lot more images available. But what about track plans? Sometimes it's either we have to go figure it out ourselves, or we are struggling to follow track on Google Maps. So what is a great way to do that? Well, I'm going to talk about this website called OpenStreetMaps. The website OpenStreetMap.org is pretty awesome when it comes to looking how rail lines are laid. When you go to the website, all you have to do is zoom into the area that you want to look at, and then go to the Layers tab on the right and click Transit. This will clear all of the roads, leaving only rail lines and bus lines. You will get public transit such as light rail mixed in, but you can discern which is which. Let's take a look at this industrial area south of Charlotte, North Carolina. I really like this one because it crams a lot into a relatively small area. You have a quarry, several industries, a small yard, a loop, yes, a loop in real life, and a branch off to an industry that's a little further away. I personally think this would be a fun industrial area to model. You can use this for track planning and general inspiration. You can even use it with Google Maps to figure out what industries you want and how to lay track to them. OpenStreetMap is a fantastic resource for planning your next model railroad track plan. There's 2 great resources right there for figuring out what your scenery should look like, especially in older era model railroads. and for figuring out your track plan when you're designing it and you want it to be a bit realistic or run a little better, more like the real thing. And I want to hear what kind of research sources that you guys have. Leave that in the comments below. I also want to talk about some of the coffees that you guys are drinking. NS5107, aka Chazco, a long-time subscriber, says he's drinking Folgers Breakfast Blend Black. Can't go wrong with that. Maurice Grimes says that he is drinking Krispy Kreme Classic with a touch of Coffee Mate Creamer. Krispy Kreme is from my neck of the woods here in North Carolina. I've actually been to the original Krispy Kreme. It's not too far from where I grew up. And Jason says, LOL, we got Jimmy to drink Timmy's. I am enjoying my Timmy's. He says, but there's a reason double doubles are so popular here. Timmy's is terrible black. LOL. You know what? It wasn't too bad, but I also made it here and didn't make it in the store. So, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. They are listed right here. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month. A lot of cool stuff going on over there, including a model of the month at the $5 a month level that you can 3D print yourself. If you're looking to improve your skills with model railroading, I've got quite a few videos that I've done with all sorts of different topics, including 3D printing. I'll link them all right here. And thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, drink some coffee, and happy railroading.